Hello, my lovely sewer rats. It's your bestie Summer. Heads up, for any background noise you hear, that's being made because my rat's out. Because he needs a little runaround time because he hasn't seen me in like 5 days. Because I went on a trip and that's why I'm currently making this the day it has to be posted. So that's fun. But currently waiting for permission for a few other fics. So until I get confirmation that I can do those, it might be a little while before something comes out. Swear I'm looking, but I was able to get the go-ahead to do this one shot, so that was great. Anyways, any warnings will be in the description as always, and without further ado, I thought we were just roommates, but now I'm starting to think we're dating. Written by Harley100, read by Summer Audio. The air quickly became stale in their cramped 2-bedroom apartment, thick with the scent of instant ramen, hairspray, and the faint smell of old wood. Shota Aizawa was casually leaning against the kitchen doorway, watching Hisashi Yamada. Hisashi was his longtime best friend and even longer-time crush, and now his new roommate. Hisashi unpacked a box of colorful mismatched plates with a level of enthusiasm that was too extreme given how early it was. The apartment wasn't much, a cheap, dingy apartment in a neighborhood with high-sky crime rates. The apartment was barely affordable with their combined hero wages, but it was theirs, 800 square feet of semi-personal space. They both had their own bedroom, but the living space was compact. After they graduated from UA, they both needed a way to escape their parents, and living together just seemed the next logical option. They both knew it was only going to be temporary, agreeing that once they started getting a decent paychecks, they would go their separate ways, moving into different apartments. So, Hisashi said, spinning around to look at Shota while somehow balancing a plate in each hand. What do you think of the place? Cozy, right? Shota glanced around the apartment. Cozy isn't the word I would use to describe this place. What word would you use to describe then? Hisashi asked. Shota's expression remained neutral. Compact, small, claustrophobic. Take your pick. Well, small is just another word for intimate, Hisashi shot back. We'll make it work. And they did, eventually. It took them a while to adjust to living with each other. The first few weeks were incredibly rocky. Shota valued his silence and organization, while Hisashi thrived in noise and chaos. Their schedules were constantly shifting. Hisashi's alarm blared at all hours, and Shota's habits of leaving half-drunk mugs of coffee around the apartment drove Hisashi up the wall. There were unspoken compromises, small gestures that helped them adapt. Hisashi made enough coffee for two, and Shota cleaned without asking. Slowly, the awkward tension eased, replaced by a comfortable presence. One evening, Hisashi blasted his music while unpacking the last of his things. Shota had stormed into the living room, but instead of snapping like he usually does, he muttered, "At least play something tolerable." Hisashi's face lit up like a sunrise. That moment became the turning point. They didn't know it yet, but a foundation was being built. A quiet, unassuming bond that would grow stronger with time. A bond that grew their friendship into something so much more. Months quickly blurred into years, and what began as a temporary living arrangement became something deeper. The apartment started to feel less like a cold, empty entity, and slowly turned into a home filled with shared rituals. Every evening, Hisashi found himself cooking, recounting his days with his typical bubbly energy, while Shota hovered nearby. Shota was a mess in the kitchen, prone to setting off smoke alarms, spilling flour everywhere, and even burnt bacon after attempting to microwave it. But Hisashi didn't mind, though. In fact, he found himself looking forward to it. The easy rhythm of their evening. Hisashi noticed the changes. Shota, who once retreated to his room the morning dinner was over, started lingering in the living room. They'd watched late-night movies together, Shota's head nodding off against Hisashi's shoulder. At some point, neither could remember when, Shota's bed stopped being used. It became natural for him to crawl into Hisashi's bed, claiming it was just easier. Hisashi didn't question it. Shota's presence had become almost as important as the air he breathed. One evening, as Hisashi stirred a pot of noodles, Shota came up behind him, resting his chin on Hisashi's shoulder and wrapping his arm around his waist. It was a gesture so familiar that Hisashi barely registered it at first. It was a second nature to him. Then it hit him like a truck. This wasn't normal. Roommates didn't do this. Friends didn't do this. His hands faltered, the wooden spoon falling into the pot. Shota straightened slightly. You okay? Hisashi turned toward him, his heart pounding out of his chest. He searched Shota's face for any signs of rejection, but all he saw was quiet concern. Taking a deep breath, Hisashi reached up, cupping Shota's face. "I'm fine," he said softly, and before he could second-guess himself, he kissed him. For a moment, the world around them appeared to stop. Hisashi's heart raced as his lips pressed against Shota's. A mix of fear and longing coursed through him. But then, Shota pushed back into the kiss, his arms tightening around Hisashi's waist with a gentle certainty that made the tension melt away. The kiss was special, their movements deliberate, as if they were exploring a new language that they had always known but never spoken. Hisashi's hands slid up to tangle in Shota's hair, pulling him closer, while Shota's fingers traced the curves of Hisashi's back, anchoring them both into the moment. When they finally pulled apart, desperate for air, their foreheads pressed together, a quiet intimacy swept over the room. Shota's lips quivered into a rare smile, his voice low and teasing. "Took you long enough," he murmured, and Hisashi couldn't help but laugh, the sound long and full of relief. For once, everything felt exactly as it should. The transition from roommates to dating was seamless. No dramatic declarations or sudden changes, just a mutual understanding. They had been living as a couple in all but name for years. The only difference now was the added intimacy of kisses, whispered confessions, more intimate moments, and the occasional play argument about who hogged the covers more. Shota suggested they buy a bigger bed, definitely for no other reason than logical circumstances. Hisashi grinned, unable to contain his glee. The new bed became their hideaway, a place for late-night talks, lazy Sunday mornings, and playful wrestling matches when Hisashi refused to get up. Simple trips to the grocery store turned into impromptu dates, complete with debates over if coffee is a reliable source of nutrients, and stolen kisses in the frozen food aisle. Weekend mornings were spent lounging on the couch, Hisashi's head in Shota's lap as they read or watched movies. Years passed, and eventually they decided to move from their small apartment with the creaking floors and peeling paint into a much bigger house, a house that can grow with them and their ever-changing lives. Hisashi brought light and energy into Shota's life, while Shota grounded Hisashi with his steady presence. Together, they built a love story, a story that entered a whole new chapter when they welcomed Eri into their lives. What began as a simple arrangement to save on rent had grown into something more magical. Shota and Hisashi didn't fall in love straight away, rather allowing their love to be built brick by brick, piece by piece, day by day, in shared meals, stolen glances, and unshakable comfort of knowing they had each other, and that they both agreed it made it all the more special. They were never just roommates, but rather always something more. Watching them go from best friends to roommates to inseparable lovers has been one of the greatest pleasures and sources of joy in my life. With that, Namuri ended her speech, her retelling of their love story. Their wedding was beautiful, a perfect blend of their personalities. The venue was a small rooftop garden decorated with fairy lights and blooming flowers. Shota dressed in a sleek black suit, while Hisashi was in a was in a bright, tailored suit that matched his vibrant personality. Namuri was their officiant, and Eri was their wonderful flower girl. Namuri raised her glass, her smile radiant. To Shota and Hisashi, may your days be filled with even more laughter, your nights with warmth, and your years with the kind of love that makes even the worst days worth living. Shota and Hisashi leaned into each other, their love shining brighter than any words could ever convey. And that was the end of I Thought We Were Just Roommates, but now I'm starting to think we're dating, by Harley100. This fic was 1,350 words long and has one chapter. I hope you all enjoyed it and have a wonderful day, night, or evening. Goodbye!